Hello, everyone. Welcome. It's lovely to have you here virtually. My name is Amy Neufeld, and I am an undergraduate program advisor for the BBA program at Laurier. And I'm very pleased to be able to welcome you to our open house, our first ever virtual open house, and this session on the BBA program, which is why you're here. I'm going to be moderating our panel tonight, which means you'll see me a little bit at the beginning and then a little bit at the end to help facilitate questions. I'm going to help get us started, but I will let everybody know there is a questions box that you can find on your GoToWebinar screen there. And please ask us questions. That's what we're here for. We have people from admissions. We have my two fabulous colleagues, Lauren and Bethany, who are available to answer questions. We have some students who you'll meet in a moment. Lots of people that are very happy to be here to answer your questions. So please feel free to ask those there. We'll also have a bit of a question time at the end too, so we can answer some of the common questions for everybody. So yeah, thank you again for joining us. I'm going to get some introductions underway. Actually, I'm going to let people do that themselves. So I'm going to start with asking Riley if you could please introduce yourself to everyone.
Yeah, hello everyone. My name is Riley Brown. I'm a second year in the BBA BA Financial Math double degree. I'm a Laurier ambassador, and also I work for the Department of Residence, and I'm really excited to answer some of your questions.
Fantastic. Thank you. We're so lucky to have Riley here. I'm just going to throw to you too now, Wendy. You're right there. Your cues are excellent. I would now ask Wendy if she can please introduce herself as well.
Hi guys, I'm also the other student in this presentation. My name is Wendy. I'm currently in my third year of the single BBA degree here at the Laurier Waterloo campus. I'm also an ambassador. This is my second year, and I'm really excited to talk to you guys.
Fantastic. So we're so lucky to have Riley and Wendy here, and as I said, they will be available at the end. We'll have some questions, but throughout this presentation, as I said before with those questions box, this is a great opportunity that you have to ask these fabulous students what it is like to be here on the campus. We're going to be talking to you about the program and the requirements. I know you might have questions about admission, but please, I think it would be wonderful if you took advantage of this opportunity to say, what's it like in residence? Or how's the food? Whatever you're interested in, because it is your life for the next 4 years and where you're going to be. And we want you to make sure that you understand it. And this is a great chance to do that. So I'm going to now turn things over to Professor Shelley McGill, who's going to introduce herself, and then she's going to give a little presentation. As I said, we'll be busily answering questions in the background, and then you'll see me again, and I will help answer some more questions to the greater community here. So that's over to you, Professor McGill.
Thank you, Amy, and welcome everyone. Thanks for taking time out of your busy week to join us and hear a little bit more about our program that we're so proud of, the BBA. I am the Associate Dean of Undergraduate Business Programs at the Lazaridis School of Business and Economics. Yeah, that's a long title, hard to put on a business card. I'm also a faculty member, a prof that teaches in the program. I teach primarily the business law course that is a requirement in the second year of the program. So I can give you a little bit of the taste of the classroom and the student interaction with professors, and also that administration of how the program runs, because that's part of my role as Associate Dean. So the format today, as Amy has already described, is a presentation that we're going to spend, about 20 minutes or 25 minutes on to cover the basics that we think you might be wondering already based on our history of past open houses, what kids want to know and what their parents want to know maybe about the program. So we'll start with that, but throughout, certainly, if a question comes to you, don't try and remember it for the end, just plop it in the question section and we'll get it answered throughout the time period. So just diving in then to this presentation, you're looking at my shared screen now, and the first, what does BBA stand for? That's what it stands for, Honors Bachelor of Business Administration, a 4-year degree. And it really falls in the general category of business. So the first thing you might be wondering as you compare schools all across maybe the country or the province or the world, what's the difference between a business or a commerce or a business administration? Generally not a whole lot. It's what the school chose to brand it. They get lumped together in that management category, and so don't focus a whole lot on what a degree is called. Look more at the fit and the style of the program and how you feel it suits your needs. I can tell you right now that there aren't bad choices. You're very lucky to have the Canadian post-secondary landscape that you have to choose from, and there are lots of good programs out there. We're here today to tell you a little bit about how our program works, who we are, what we do, and why the program is unique. That's really the information we think you need to help you make the decision that is right for you. So we'll talk a little bit about our history and our experience as a business school and a university, the accreditations that we are proud of, and certainly the accomplishments. And there, it's not just all about profs and the school. It's a lot of our students that we are very proud of the things they can accomplish. And we're going to be asking Riley and Wendy to comment on that part of it, what they do in addition to the classroom that makes the Lazaridis school and the Laurier campus so interesting for them. Then we'll talk a little bit about the uniqueness of our program design. It is a little different than some of those out there with a year-by-year progression and modules of courses that you take together to get a comprehensive understanding of all functional areas of business before you're invited to specialize later on in the program. And certainly one of the very unique features that we have is our co-op program. The co-op option, which is an academic component, meaning it has some academic sides to it. It shows up on your transcript. We are very proud of it. It is the largest business co-op program in Canada, meaning we have the most students in it and the most employers offering jobs for it. We were the first to have co-op. And so we've learned a lot over the 50 years of co-op that we have operated, and we think our students benefit from those. Other unique features are immersive learning, and we'll talk about what that means. It's a lot about real world experience. And then as well, the support and engagement we have available for the students that choose Laurier. We attract and train top students at our program, and so you'll have the benefit of that peer-to-peer environment as well. But we bring those employers from our co-op program and other companies that are just interested in our program. We bring them onto campus and allow our students to work with them and for them in pursuit of their real-world goals. And part of the design of our program in its year-by-year progression, it creates a community. You get to know the students in your first year. Those are the students you're admitted with. Those are the same students you'll take your required courses with all through the program at the same pace. You'll see them again. It creates a smaller community feel, certainly, environment, and the familiarity that it comes from knowing your peers and going to school with them. So that's what we hope to accomplish in the presentation you're about to see. So we'll drive in with our history. Yes, Laurier is over 100 years old as a university, the business school, since 1966. And here, you'll hear me call it the business school because I'm on the business department side of it. But our design is, again, somewhat unique from the other schools that you will see. We have the economics department with us together in the Lazaridis school. Many schools you'll see the economics department in the arts field separate from business, but at the Lazaridis school we think, well, what could be a better fit with business than the economy? And so the departments are joined together in the Lazaridis school. We've had co-op since the 70s, and we were the first to introduce it, and we maintain the largest co-op program. And it is a big feature that is important to the students, but also to our immersive character. It's the ultimate opportunity to be immersed into the work role. We named our business school after one of the founders of BlackBerry, Mike Lazaridis. He's been a big supporter of the Tech Triangle here in Waterloo region and of both universities, the University of Waterloo, which is just 1 block away from us, and we have cross-registration privileges available to our students with U of W, and Mr. Lazaridis has been very supportive of Laurier. A generous gift from him allowed us to build a brand new building in 2016. It's also called Lazaridis Hall. And in a moment, I'll show you a picture of what that looks like. But it has been a great home for us with many interactive features that have enhanced our student learning. And when you're a business school that has been in operation since 1966, you have a wide network of alumni, 32,000 BBA alumni working around the globe and supporting our school through advisory councils located in London, New York, San Francisco, to name just a few. So here you're seeing our brand new building that we moved into in 2016, and that's an actual picture of the atrium in the center that brings light even in the wintry times we are approaching. If you get a chance, certainly we would love for you to come and visit the school. It's been a great home for us. Come when it's COVID safe and then take a look around. We also benefit from a nice close geographic landscape to our campus, so you can visit multiple buildings on the same day, and you certainly will as you go to school here. Take a look in Lazaridis Hall at, you can write this down if you want, LH 3094. That's the room you'll take your first year's business classes in. It's on the tour. It holds about 297 students, and so take a look, get a feel for how you would imagine yourself in that room when you're on the tour. A little bit of our history here and the accomplishments and accreditations we're very proud of. Another first for the Laurier Business School was to be the first internationally accredited business school in Canada through AACSB. You don't have to write that acronym down, but it is an international standard for quality in business schools and continuous improvement. And we were the first business school to have that accreditation in Canada. Many others have followed suit now and have it as well, but we remain among only 5% of the world's business schools who have such accreditation. And it's reaccredited every 5 years, and so you can be assured of the standard you're getting. We also use it ourselves as recognition of what partners we might want to join with around the world for things like international exchanges and recognizing courses you might want to take abroad. From an AACSB school, we feel confident of the quality you'll get. The second column on this slide is a list of just one area in which our students make us proud and show their strength around the world. We have many teams that join and compete in international case competitions. Not so much traveling this year, but doing it virtually. Other years, they travel to a variety of places on extracurricular teams and even one or two teams, JDC, within the course format that you can take that course as part of your program. But tremendous success on the world stage against major business schools from around North America in particular, that we are very proud of their results on our behalf. And that's just one way students are featured prominently in building the reputation of the school. So let's turn now to talk just a little bit about what the program is like, how we do what we do. And so first of all, I'd say the program is structured to build incremental, meaning bit by bit, experiential, meaning real world, hands-on, you do it, learning. And so that structure, I like to think, is a little bit like peeling back an onion. You get the first layer of foundation before you go too deep. You don't focus or specialize on one functional area of business before you have the foundation across all areas. That foundation is introduced usually in the first and very often by the end of the second year so that you have a comprehensive understanding. So we start you with your business education on day one. There are 3 required business courses in first year of functional areas, course, an introductory course, and an accounting course. As well, you'll take a couple of accounting and a math course, and then there will be some non-business electives. That concentration, and that's our word for the choice of the specialized area you might make, and you don't have to, but you may. That comes later in the program, and it builds on your foundation. After you've had a chance to see all the areas, the choice of which one you might want to specialize in may change. And so it's a perfect location. Just at the start of third year, Wendy will be electing her specializations now as she picks those business elective courses she might want to take. So a graphic that lays it out a little more clearly for you of what we think takes place in year one. So when I talk about what you'll take, these three courses, the Introduction to Business Environment, the Functional Areas, and Accounting, they're clustered together to be taken in an order or in modules in order to facilitate cross-course learning, as well as ensure that the foundation is there for the next term. Then when you get to second year, there are courses in finance and operations. There's a stats course there's organizational behavior. That's where the business law course is. We make sure you have the skill set, the analytic skill set to move on to the specialization years, which open up in third year. That's the time we really focus on that integrated use of the knowledge. There are very few business problems that can be solved by only knowing marketing or only knowing finance. Obviously, every marketing challenge needs to be solved knowing what budget you've got to spend. So the integrated case exercise that we impose into the second term of third year, that's a 10-day real world case where a company comes on and gives our students a challenge for them to solve in groups. We shut down your core required courses and you work with your group exclusively on resolving that challenge, proposing your solution, and ultimately it is the executives of that company that decides the winning solution. Certainly your profs mark your written reports, but we bring those executives on for the finals and they make the choice. In fourth year then, we give you a capstone course on strategy that brings it together, and that's your opportunity as well to fit in an international term or exchanges as your preference allows. We also have the international concentration specialization in that year, which involves a separate trip as well. So that's the overlay of the program. Let's just talk a little bit about what those specializations look like. And the next slide will give you the full list of 10, but there are 10 different ones. And certainly specialization is your choice. You don't have to take what amounts to the equivalent of maybe a major in business. You can continue with the general management theme and sample across all disciplines. But if you want to, you can elect one of those concentrations. And very often, if you're looking for a particular professional designation, for example, if you're looking to become an accountant, which is a CPA, or if you want to manage money, the popular designation for that is the CFA. If you like human resources and working with people, you're probably going to want a designation from the Professional Organization of Human Resource Professionals. That's the CHRP. Well, our courses that are concentrated in those specializations are recognized and lead to earlier accreditation in those professions. So that's one thing to keep in mind as you choose. But many people that want to pursue their own entrepreneurial path don't choose a specialization. They take their entrepreneurship courses, or they use even co-op terms to work on their own entrepreneurial idea. In addition to what you might think as a specialization inside business, you can also take a minor from some other faculty. If your passion is politics, you want a minor in political science, go for it. There are non-business electives required in each year of our program because we want well-rounded students who have interests inside and outside the business world. And this embedded opportunity to take non-business electives feeds those minors. Many of our students elect an economics minor because it is so easy to cross over and use some of the required economics courses that you're already taking in business towards that economics minor. But legal studies, another popular option that you can add together with your business degree. So many ways to customize your own degree to what you want it to be. Here we are with the list of 10 specializations that you can choose from, strategy being a new one. Entrepreneurship is there as well as a specialization. The obvious finance, marketing, and accounting are often the ones that gain big traction. So why are we unique? In addition to that program design, what else can I tell you about our program? Well, I've mentioned co-op several times. We're pretty proud of it. It is a defining feature of our program. We are also really proud of that immersive learning content. The number of times you can work on real world problems, the number of times you're offered simulations in order to hone those skills. These are embedded in our program. And then this community spirit that we build, partly by design of the program, partly by our geography and our campus structure. It just fosters networks and bonds across student groups. So a little bit more than about co-op. I won't repeat what I've already said. What's important to know about your stage, you don't apply directly to co-op. You won't find that on your UAC list of programs. You just apply to the BBA, and co-op opens up for you as first year unwinds. So March of your first year, applications open. It's a competitive entry based on a number of things, not just your marks, but your marks are included. There's also an interview. And once admitted, it is an academic component that will show up on your transcript, and we'll have preparatory workshops that make sure your workshop or your work ready before you embark on your first work term. The earliest that could be is in that summer between second and third year. And co-op is all paid 3 work terms. There's no internship that is unpaid. And we screen our students going out. We screen our employers as well. Many of them have been with us a very, very long time, offering job opportunities that lead to a number of identifiable and predictable careers. But there's a work component where you'll write a report about your experience, and you'll have a co-op coordinator who monitors your job environment as well. We want to make sure you learn something in your job, not just get paid. This slide really relates to upon graduation, our very high placement rate with some of the job titles that are common to our BBA degrees, and some that are not quite so common. Movie producer being one of them, Juno Award-winning rapper being another, kind of unusual path for our BBA grads. But really, when you think about it, very entrepreneurial careers that for success require some business skills. So that immersive tone that we were mentioning is demonstrated on this slide. So right away, in the very first term of your first year, you will be invited to participate in live case. That's part of Business 111. And there'll be a real company, and there'll be a competition decided ultimately by some of the executives of that real company. In the second term, you'll be invited in your BU 121 course to pitch a new venture, an idea of your own. And again, Pepsi participates with us in evaluating some of those pitches and those projects. So first year, right off the bat, immersive opportunities. Second year, our focus is preparing you for co-op, but also the IKEA Sustainability Challenge, another competition to allow you to pitch to real executives. IKEA, a big supporter of the business school. And so they're on campus in second year. Third year, I've mentioned already our ICE event, the 10 days in which you deal with a different case company, well kept secret who that is every year, to resolve it. And their executives come on campus to evaluate the results. Fourth year, there's a startup fund. You can actually be participating in managing the money for some of our entrepreneurial features that we support, and that's when our international exchanges and trips take place as well. Outside the classroom, we have Launchpad, our entrepreneurship center that backs and assists those working on their startup. And I've mentioned the RBC sponsored co-op work terms, which can sponsor an entrepreneur who is paid by RBC to work on their own business. So embedded throughout the years of the program. Here are just a few of the cases that come on campus for first year's live case. So that first thing you'll do in about November, around now, of first year, TD, Starbucks, quite a few that have been involved. And examples of recent cases that we've used in third year, companies like Canadian Tire, Dare, Staples, Molson's, a pretty popular year. People were really excited to be working on that project. So lots of quality partners participating in our program. We support students as well in the design of our first year. You'll notice right away how important the small group is and the group work is to building cohort, but also to supporting your success. So that first year, both business courses, 111 and 121, will be subdivided into labs of about 25 to 30 kids each. You're led by a senior student, and it creates a secondary support system for practicing all those skills that you're learning in class, and for preparing you for many of those presentations and competitions that we offer. It gives a peer-to-peer strength. Also, I have to brag just a little bit about our first year teaching team. Many schools will have PhD students teaching the first year of their program. Not us. We have two profs, Dr. Karianopoulos and Professor Allen, who have devoted themselves to Business 111 and 121 respectively. They lead a team and have done so for many years. And so they are experienced and focus on first year. That's an important transitional step. And I'm happy to say that the first prof, Dr. Karianopoulos, not only a PhD in entrepreneurship and strategy, but also a trained high school teacher. She's perfect for that transitional term as you join our school. So just a quick mention about the more expanded view of how we build that Laurier family. We build it on a relatively small geographic footprint, which when we're trying to build buildings is a downside, but when you're trying to meet people and stay close in the pre-COVID and post-COVID worlds, it's nice to be in contact with other students from other programs. We also have a very active student club environment, 50 clubs or more, sponsored for business students by our LASOC, the Lazaridis Student Society. And then as well, we have that design of the program. So I'm getting to the end so that we'll open up for your questions. Here's one I'm sure you're asking in the chat a little bit about the requirements to apply and be accepted. You're going to see in the view book very published minimums for English and math. Don't rely on those minimums. That qualifies you to apply, but you're going to want to shoot higher because, of course, we're looking at your average, including the required courses, to be at the very high 80s and hitting 90 for the single degree BBA. That will include, as I said, your required courses, and we average any repeated courses for those as we calculate those admissions. So focus on doing the best you can, and we will also invite you then, and in the questions I'll mention probably our ABS form and how you might enhance your application by filling out that applicant background statement. So we know a little bit more about you in addition to your transcripts. So there we are. I took a little more time than I wanted to, so I'll stop right now and just open it up to questions, and I'm sure Amy's ready to direct us.
That was fantastic. Lots of excellent questions coming through. A very inquisitive group, which is great to see. I'm going to start with exactly what Professor McGill just mentioned, get some of the nitty-gritty out of the way, and then we'll talk a bit more about sort of experience type questions. But there is a lot of chatter about the ABS form. So Professor McGill, would you mind just talking a little bit about that process and why we have that form?
Okay, we have that form to take into account a little bit more marks than marks, but importantly, it's almost our first step in knowing who's a Laurier student, because you'll notice it is optional. Once you've applied to it at us and it opens up, the ABS form is optional. So take the option. That's the first piece, because that tells us you're a student that does more than the minimum. And that's what we want in a Laurier student. Second of all, there are some specific questions on there to answer, and certainly answer the questions, but also don't shy away from adversity that you've faced. If there's a hiccup on your transcript, if there's something that you've learned to retool from, then face that right on in the ABS form. Tell us what setback you faced, how you bounced back, what it taught you, because resiliency is what we are looking for in our students as well. Never more than now do we realize the challenges students are facing, and the ability to pivot and regroup and make a new plan and learn from the past. If you don't stumble once, then you're not testing yourself, then you've never tried anything outside your comfort zone. And we want students who test themselves and go outside their comfort zone. So don't be afraid to address any weaknesses as well as your strengths. I'm sure Wendy and Riley may have an opinion on ABS if they did it as well. No, don't tell me.
Do you want to go first, Riley?
Sure. Yes. So the ABS, it's not that difficult to fill out. Like, you just answer a few questions about yourself, and it just, like, I don't know what to say. As it, like, when I was applying, I just thought, you know, oh, I might as well do this. It's something that they're asking me. I don't know if it helped me get in, because I didn't think it told me, but I still did it.
We won't tell you if it helps.
It's worth doing. As Riley mentioned, it's not particularly onerous. I mean, you do have to write a little bit, but I would call them medium answer questions. I wouldn't even call them long answer questions. They're certainly not essays. We don't need a full thesis statement. But it's a great chance to just tell us a little bit about yourself. And unless you're like absolutely certain that you're going to get the minimum grades, which, I mean, it can be that certain about anything, I think it's worth filling it out. Yeah. Wendy, did you have any thoughts on that?
No, just kind of like mimicking the same thing. I filled it out. I think it's better safe than sorry. Definitely fill it out. It does help you. And again, what Amy said, not really long answers. I think I did like a paragraph for each question, so it doesn't take as much time, and it definitely gives you that extra boost if you need it.
Yeah, and it's a chance, like Professor McGill. Oh, sorry. Like Professor McGill said, it's a chance to tell us about yourself. So they're not trick questions. It's what you see is what it is.
And every year we admit people off the ABS list that have not quite made our typical cutoff. They've always made the minimums, but they may not have made where you had to get this year with the demand to get in. But we always go there.
We've also had a lot of questions about co-op. So I'm wondering if we could, Professor McGill, if we can chat just a little bit about the process for co-op, and then if either of our students want to jump in with any of their kind of comments or thoughts about co-op, that would be great.
So as I've mentioned, it's competitive entry, which means you fill out an application, and there'll be a personal statement that goes with that, and there'll also be your transcripts that go in, and there's many months for it to be open, so you don't have to feel pressured that you have to decide right away. And then in the September of your second year, that's when co-op starts to evaluate the applications, and you'll go in for an interview. It'll be with probably Amy Wolf and at least one other, and those two things together, they'll let you know. And then once you find out in October, you'll start to work on these modules that make you work ready. Throughout that second year is when you'll work on these components that help you, and they'll be like technology use codes of conduct, because of course we don't want you to go to the workplace and sit on Facebook and Instagram the whole day. Those kind of work readiness scenarios happen. There's a code of conduct about it. And then you'll go out, you'll be in one of two sequences because we divide our co-op class in half so that we can certainly reduce class sizes in third and fourth year, and we can spread the jobs around the year so we have enough students going out each year or each term to fill the year. We also want you to work different terms. We don't want accountants just out there working only in tax time. So that's the process, and the reports you'll write about your work term will be evaluated by co-op. It's not really marked. It's a pass-fail kind of scenario. There's a competitive process for competing to get the various jobs. So they come on campus, many of the employers, and you put together an application and you do an interview with them. And so that's part of the job readiness workshops that co-op will train you to do. You don't have to know these things. We'll teach you. So Riley, you haven't been out yet on a work term, but you double degree what goes into co-op right away. Wendy, what's your co-op experience? Are you in co-op? Did you have you been on a work term yet? Are you scheduled?
So a little bit background knowledge for our audience as well. I was originally in the double degree, but when I transferred over into the single degree, because it just wasn't for me, my co-op kind of went with it. But actually, even without that, like Professor McNeil was talking about, we have that co-op course that's kind of mandatory in co-op. So the career staff will critique your resume and critique your letter, do a mock 101 interview. So your first co-op interview isn't your first interview ever, which I think is an amazing support. We don't just kind of throw you out there into the wolves. But even without that, without co-op, there's a lot of supports available on campus. I was able to utilize the co-op and career center to look over my resume, and I'm actually taking a year off next year to work for Loblaws in their technology sector. So yeah, a little bit about that. So for all of you guys who are super stressed about co-op, just know that even if you don't get it, there's tons of supports available for you at Laurier to succeed in the way I did. So co-op is great and everything, but know that if you don't choose to do it, or potentially you might not get in, you'll be totally fine, and Laurier has tons of supports for that as well.
Wendy, I'm so glad you, sorry, I was just gonna say, I'm so glad you mentioned that. The Career Center is fantastic. Every student has access to it. I don't know that everybody knows that. And you're absolutely right, although it's not packaged the same way as it is in the co-op program, access to things that, I mean, everybody should be doing, you know, the resume skills, the interview skills, they really help you, and they're wonderful over there. So that's a great plug for them. Okay. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I just want to quickly jump in. I've seen a few questions about this. If you're in double degree, you're guaranteed into the co-op program. What that means is you don't have to apply to get into co-op. It doesn't mean you're guaranteed a job. You still have to go through the application process. You're competing against all of the BBA students who did have to apply to get in. So, you know, they're all looking really great, but no, you don't have to apply. You just have to meet your course requirements in order to get, like, to stay in the co-op program. So don't fret about that.
Great point. Absolutely. And I'm just going to add too, because I am also seeing a fair number of just ABS questions still coming in. That's the applicant background summary form. Two quick things. I believe the deadline is April 28th to have that filled out. They recommend within 2 weeks of applying to Laurier, but you do have a little bit of extra time there. If you are already have your offer of admission, then you don't need to fill in the ABS form, because we only look at those for people who are within a certain percentage of the cutoff. So I've been seeing a lot of those questions as well. We've got about 6 minutes here. The questions are still coming in. There's a lot of them for admissions, and our admissions coordinator is just working so fast in behind the scenes. But she's going to try to get to all of your questions, I know. So please be patient. Do have a chance to, if you want to scroll through the answered questions, it's possible that your question has already been answered there. But I thought I would ask as well. We have had a few questions, and I think Riley might be the best person to answer this one, although I'm happy to hear anybody's perspective. If you could talk a little bit about residence, what students can expect in residence, and maybe a little bit about what it's like this year.
Yeah, definitely. So residence during COVID is a little interesting. It's, you know, so I lived in residence in my first year, and I'm a Don this year in my second year. And I'm also a Don for the residence learning community for the business and economics community. So that's kind of nice. I get to be involved with students that are in the BBA program. Residence, there's the dormitory style, and then there's the apartment style. dormitory style is your classic, like you share a room with someone, you share a bathroom with your floor, or there's the single style where it's like you have your own room and then you have a bathroom connecting you to one other student of the same gender. And so you share the bathroom with one other person, but your sink is in your room, so you don't need to worry about like having to wait to brush your teeth. So there's those two options. And with those two dorm styles, you have a meal plan where you go to the dining hall to get your meals. There's a 5-day or a 7-day, all access. So depending on if you're going to be at Laurier on weekends or whatever works for you. Then there's apartment style. An apartment style is you are in a unit with a kitchen and a common room and a few rooms and some bathrooms. It's like a classic apartment. You share the bathroom with maybe one other person. One of the buildings has ensuite bathrooms, so you get your own bathroom in your room. That's kind of nice. And for that, there's a meal plan, but it's just flex dollars. And flex dollars is like, it's like the money on your one card that you can use at all of the food stalls on campus. And during COVID, what it is we're running about a third of the capacity. So there's not, like, our residences aren't full right now, but that just means our communities are a little bit smaller. Right now, my community has 7 students, but that just means I have like very deep, strong connections with all 7 of my students, instead of in previous years, a dorm would have maybe 25 to 35 students in their community. Dorms are still planning events and socials for their students, so you can still meet others. There's a lot of hallway hangouts that happen right now where like we all sit in the hallway 6 feet apart and we're all do stuff or we play games. Among Us is very popular right now in residence. So there's still a lot of fun things, and all of our FYLP and campus councils are still running. So that's like we have the Athletics Council, Arts, Sustainability, and they run events for the whole campus and all of the first years. And then each building has a house council where you, like, all first years apply and they run events for their entire building. So there's a lot of opportunities in residence, and it's still like such a great experience even during COVID.
Great answer. Thank you. We had a question actually that I just saw go through in the questions there, that this one specifically, again, for Riley and Wendy. They asked if you could talk about something unexpected that had happened in the BBA, either good or bad. I would say, maybe one of each if you've got them. Yeah, I thought that was an interesting question. So what do you think was unexpected? I guess sort of something you weren't expecting or wish you had known going in.
Wendy, do you want to go first?
Sure, I'll go first. I think one thing I was really unexpected going into BBA and just Laurier in general was how many people would actually get to connect with based on like Laurier's community size. And especially this was really prominent in first year with all the people, all the students coming in for BBA will know first year new venture. That's a big year-long project where you kind of create your own product and service, and throughout the year you kind of apply what you learned to it. So you're grouped together in a group for the entire year with these people, and you get to see these people every single week, all the time. You're able to make connections in your lab. You get to know people. So you're not just a number, it feels like a community. And I think that's one thing that I was super surprised about. I'm still today, my new venture group is one of my closest university friends, actually. Like, we drive 2 hours to see each other. Before COVID, we would meet up. I guess just a good thing is you get to meet people and make those connections and actually make friends with the size of Laurier. And even that group work. Some people might hate to work in groups, but I absolutely loved it. And it was a great opportunity. And just that experience altogether, it was not expected coming in.
I'll talk quickly as we're approaching the end here, but something very unexpected for me was how fun my professors were in first year. I loved going to office hours, and every single BBA student in first year takes a course called EC 120, and the person who teaches that course is Ken Jackson. I want to give a big shout out to him. Everybody loves him. He's a great professor. You will have a blast in his course. He's just an all-around guy. But on top of that, I also had so much fun talking to my accounting professor and my BU 111 and BU 121 professor. If you go to their office hours, most of the time it just ended up as like my professor and I talking about life, and I was asking them questions about their hometowns and things like that. So I was very nervous because they were like, oh, they're professors, like you have to be very, you know, posh and stuff. But no, they're just regular people as well, and they love like learning about your life if you put in the effort to learn about theirs. So that was something that was unexpected to me.
It's so interesting to hear you say that, because office hours are one of the underutilized supports that are out there. Every prof has to maintain, it's usually about 3 hours of office hours a week for each course they teach, just for kids to drop in and ask questions. And one of our pet peeves as prof, we're lonely. You know, you're not supposed to book anything else. You're not supposed to start any serious work. You know, you're answering your inbox, waiting for students to come and talk to you. And we don't get much traffic, you know, certainly right before midterms and right before finals. So that would be the tip of how to do well in university, is go to office hours, meet your profs, build a relationship with them. They're desperate to talk to somebody during office hours. We're lonely. And so I'm glad to hear that you're taking advantage of that and using it.
Excellent point. Well, we're just about wrapping up here. I'm going to ask just Professor McGill to give us one final sort of parting thought. Before we do that, I will point out where I don't think we're going to be able to get to all of the questions because you're just such an inquisitive group. But for anything about admissions, please email chooselaurier@wlu.ca if you weren't able to get an answer tonight, and they can help you there, or check out the website with all the information there. But I would, since we heard some unexpected aspects of Riley and Wendy's experience, I guess I just wanted to ask Professor McGill if she could share with us what her favorite part of being a Laurier professor is and being part of the BBA program.
Oh, well, I mean, I have had so many positive experiences of being part of it, but certainly I've been in the associate dean role now about 2 or 3 years, and what has been really important to me in that is the opportunity to work with so many students that hit a roadblock. Very often, the students that I wind up seeing most often are the ones that need some help transitioning through a challenge. And that has been so great because I've gotten to know so many students on a really personal level, and been able to really impact how they work through the program. Certainly, there are lots of profs that are doing that. You can reach out at any level, and that's been the positive thing. It's not always, certainly for me as a student, if I think back to, and yes, I go back to Laurier even as a student. If you go back to those, it's not necessarily all the A courses. You remember whatever A you got, but that course that threw you a curve and that you had to work to overcome, those are the ones that stick in your memory. Well, that's how I feel about the students I meet in my role as Associate Dean. It has been very satisfying to help students navigate the tough choices that come as they transition into adults, and it's been great to work and see this community grow. So that's the most memorable thing for me.
Fantastic. Well, I think we're going to wrap things up, Professor McGill, unless there's anything else that you wanted to mention. We do have the double degree session next, so for anybody who is curious about those double degrees, and I did see some questions in there, so please do attend that. It is a different presentation. There's some similarities, but we're going to be covering that double degree. Anything else, Professor McGill, that you'd like to mention?
That's all I was going to say. That shout out to the double degree session that starts at 7 if you want to join that. Also, I had on my slide there and moved forward when we were talking so much about ABS. I thought I might just indicate to people that we do have an alternate offer process as well. Meaning, if you apply to a program that then you don't make the cutoff, we don't just send you a "we hate you" letter. We send you a letter that says, you know what, you might want to consider this program where you do fit the qualifications. And so that often happens if you apply to double degree and you don't make a cutoff. We may ask you to consider single degree. If you don't make the cutoff for BBA, we may invite you to consider our economics programs, which are so closely affiliated with the business department because, as I say, we are in the same school, and economics offers an honors Bachelor of Economics and financial management, as well as an accounting combination as well. So if that's what you get, certainly feel free to get in touch with us and talk about those options and how they compare, because we think we might have found a fit for you that will work. So that's what alternate offers meant in that last slide. But I'll stop talking now and wish you luck in your choices. I would close by saying, there aren't bad choices in Ontario. Don't feel pressure by these comparisons. Just feel lucky that there's so much on the table for you to choose from and enjoy it.
Thank you so much for joining us tonight, everyone. It was wonderful to chat with you, and hopefully we will see you again soon. Good night.
Yeah.